भारत अगले कुछ वर्षों में दुनिया की टॉप 3 इकोनॉमी में जाएगा।
Those were the key highlights of the vibrant 10th edition of the Gujarat Summit, which was held in Gandhinagar, and where Prime Minister Narendra Modi stressed on India's multi-trillion-dollar economic capabilities. Hello there, you are watching Inside South Asia, and let's get started. Ever since a new president took charge of the Maldives, its controversies with India has been on the rise. However, this diplomatic row between the two countries has now been fraught with dire consequences that are currently being faced by the Maldivian tourism industry. Here's the story.
As Mali scrambles to contain the row over derogatory remarks made against New Delhi by 3 of its ministers, its impact is already being felt by the island nation. A prominent Maldivian tourism body has called on India-based travel aggregator Ease My Trip to reopen flight bookings via its platform. India is a major source of tourists from Maldives. Over 2 lakh Indians visited the country last year alone. The row began after 3 ministers, Marsha Sharif, Mariam Shuhana and Abdullah Mazoom Majid, made critical comments about India's Prime Minister. Since the fallout, all 3 ministers have been suspended amid opposition's calls for greater punishment. And though the Maldives government called the remarks unacceptable, in India the outrage hasn't stopped, with the Boycott Maldives hashtag trending on social media platforms, with posts both from celebrities and the public alike. Known for his China leanings, Muzu stepped aside from years-long tradition of making New Delhi his first foreign visit and instead headed to Turkey. Currently, he is in China for a state visit and on Tuesday appealed to Beijing to intensify efforts to send more tourists to his country. China was our #1 market pre-COVID, and it is my request that we intensify efforts for China to regain this position, he said at a meeting of business leaders in the Chinese capital. Beijing and Mali are also set to sign multiple bilateral agreements. Meanwhile, there's also pressure building up on President Muzu and the 3-party ruling coalition, which faces a general election later this year. Multiple opposition MPs and political leaders have demanded he be held accountable. Maldives MP Mikhail Naseem has requested Parliament to summon Maldives Foreign Minister.
We gave the government, I think, sufficient time to take action and to issue a formal apology, but we did not see that happen. And I think it is now time for the Parliament to intervene and question them as to why they have been not taking this issue as seriously as they should be, and what more is being done by the government to resolve the matter and bring a closure to this diplomatic row that is being created by some social media activists as well as senior officials of the current ruling party.
Prominent political figures in the Maldives have also condemned the comments of the ministers. The Maldives National Party referred to the remarks made by the ministers as unacceptable. Similarly, the Maldives Democratic Party released a statement demanding appropriate action against the senior officials in question.
I think this is very uncalled for, and I think this is a very sad incident, which should not happen actually, because when you are in a elected position, you should not engage as an activist. So you have to be more responsible, and also these degrading remarks towards the global leader, Prime Minister Modi, and as well as racist comments against Indian citizens is not acceptable. So we built our tourism on the basis of tolerance and harmony and friendship and hospitality. So this is not acceptable at any level.
Distancing itself from the row, Beijing says it has never asked Mali to reject New Delhi because of its own conflicts, nor does it view cooperation between the Maldives and India as unfriendly or a threat. All of this, as reports suggest, dates for President Muzu's visit to India are being finalized. However, uncertainties prevail over the Maldivian president's proposed India visit.
Bangladesh and Bhutan kickstarted 2024 with elections as both countries head to polls this year. Up next, we bring you the perspective of two respective elections, which are poles apart in their outcomes. Here's the story.
Two South Asian nations, two elections, and two very different outcomes. Bangladesh and Bhutan went to polls. Kickstarting the 2024 election season worldwide. Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina swept to a fourth straight term in power, with her party winning almost 75% of the seats in the general election. Her victory was a foregone conclusion, given that her main opposition, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, had boycotted the elections. The election turnout was on the lower side, at 40%. The BNP had participated in the vote in the previous 2018 election, but had kept away in 2014. This year it boycotted the polls after Hasina refused demands to resign and allow a neutral authority to conduct the general election.
Those who want to criticize, they can criticize. It is their liberty. It is their liberty. I have my own belief, whether it is right or wrong. I believe that and I trust on that. I trust on myself that yes, I have done the right thing and the election was free and fair.
In contrast to Bangladesh, Bhutan presented a different picture, with people coming out in large numbers to vote for change. It was the country's fourth general elections since its transformation from a traditional monarchy to a parliamentary form of government in 2008. Tens of thousands of Bhutanese queued to vote in the Himalayan kingdom, with parties vowing to tackle serious economic challenges that call into question its long-standing policy of prioritizing gross national happiness over growth. Former Prime Minister Tshering Tobge's party won the Bhutan election. Tobge had served as Prime Minister of Bhutan from July 2013 to August 2018. His party won nearly two-thirds of the seats.
My hopes and expectations for the winning party are that they will benefit the country since they are all capable candidates. Our country is underdeveloped, so using the resources and networks, the leaders could benefit the country. As a result, my wishes will be fulfilled.
I expect the party to do what is very obvious at the moment for Bhutan. We have a very high unemployment rate, especially among the youth. We have our economy in a very, very poor state. So we are expecting the government to start stimulating the economy. They have promised in their pledge to inject about 15 billion nultrum, our local currency, into the economy. So we expect that to happen.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Tshering Tobge for winning the parliamentary elections. He posted a tweet saying he looks forward to working together again to strengthen the unique ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. It's election fever everywhere in 2024. Now 3 more countries from the Indian subcontinent will go to the polls next. Pakistan in February, India possibly in April and May, and also Sri Lanka later this year. Each of these elections are expected to impact not only the individual nations involved, but the entire South Asian region as well.
It has been 3 months since the deadly earthquake struck Afghanistan, and many are still struggling to find permanent housing. As the country gears up for a cruel winter, thousands of Afghans are still living in tents and makeshift arrangements.
Our concern is that it has been 3 months that we have neither a school nor a mosque. The children are psychologically affected. Sometimes I play with them to distract them from being anxious and help them forget about the earthquake. But they don't forget.
We expect the authorities to complete the construction, let us move to our new houses and assist us with fuel for heating during the winter so that we can get back to a normal life.
These are the voices from Afghanistan, of people still recovering from the shock of multiple earthquakes that hit the country's Herat province 3 months back in October. 2 earthquakes of 6.3 magnitude, each on October 7th, killed over 1,400 people and injured thousands of people in Afghanistan's west. Survivors are struggling to rebuild their lives. Before the quake, 55-year-old Muladad Mohabbati had a house with 6 rooms, a kitchen and space for crops, livestock and timber. Now he shelters underneath tarpaulin and sheets with his wife and children. He is grateful for the relief efforts but wants measures for longer-term recovery.
We ask all aid organizations and the international community. Our canals cannot be cleaned by the people. We ask them to bring us loader trucks to clean them to make us able to do our agriculture. 1 bag of rice and 1 bag of wheat flour is not enough for us.
People are enduring the severe winter conditions with the help of donations, but they're anxious about what lies ahead. As the winter months get colder, more and more people are urging that the resettlement process be speeded up.
The winter is going to interrupt our work because this is a mountainous area and it gets too cold. Technically, when the temperature is under 0 degrees Celsius, we won't be permitted to carry out construction work.
Afghanistan is reeling from decades of conflict and a crippling economic crisis. 29 million people are in need of humanitarian support. The recent refugee influx from Pakistan is another challenge facing the country. Back in Herat, families continue to live in canvas-colored tents in Zinda, Jan district, the quake's epicenter, where every home was flattened. The big question is, how will they survive the brutal winter?
Every year, as a result of the subcontinent's monsoon seasons, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people are affected by deadly floods. Be it India, Pakistan, Nepal, or even Bangladesh, many are affected by deadly floods. Which is why these climate adaptation projects from Pakistan and Bangladesh will be helping millions in need.
This is Khudibari, a village in Islampur of Jamalpur district in Bangladesh. What you see here are indigenous two-story housing structures built to help people survive a growing threat: floods. Bangladesh is one of the nations facing the greatest risk from climate change-driven flooding. The Khudi Badi, or tiny house, are resilient homes that stand on bamboo stilts rising out of the flood waters. Making it easy to move to safer locations when needed. Just last year, when the annual monsoon floodwaters swelled the country's mighty Brahmaputra river, this 40-year-old farmer did not have to abandon his home for the first time in his life. He just had to climb up a ladder and wait out the waters.
In the past, the houses would fall apart when we tried to disassemble them. The bamboo poles were just useless. But it's not the same now, since the bamboo poles of these houses go down to the ground, wrapped in steel covers, so the poles don't directly touch the soil. That's why they don't rot.
So how does the solution work? Fleeing homes during the floods is part of many Bangladeshis' lives. This is what made Marina Thabasum an award-winning architect. Initially, she built 17 prototypes in the village.
It's a knockdown system, so it can be assembled, disassembled very easily. It's a mobile, modular system, so that's why it can be moved from one location to another. And being a modular system, you can add and it can be scaled up and down. It uses local material, and as such, the cost is much lower. At the moment, it costs about $450 per house, including labor.
If the water level is waist high, we can still stay here. If it rises to the chest or even cheek level, still we can stay in this house since it's a two-story house.
Climate preparedness projects like this have become the need of the hour. Thousands of kilometers away to Bangladesh's west, in Pakistan, another architect is helping fortify rural communities that live on the front lines of the havoc wrought by climate change. Meet 82-year-old Yasim Lari, Pakistan's first female architect who made these settlements in the Pono village in the Sindh province of Pakistan. Her pilot project is credited with saving families from the worst of the catastrophic monsoon flooding.
My dream for some years now that we should build in a manner, or that I should get the skills of building into hands of everybody in my country, and the poor particularly, who can build so that they will not be displaced. So this has been something that I've been wanting to do, and I don't use any cement whatsoever, nor any steel. And so, so we applied the same formula, and so everything is elevated so that the waters come in, they won't affect anything. And then bamboo is something that I've been using since 2009. So I learned how to use it, and we've been using it in earthquake areas as well as flood areas, and they have survived very well because they are very well designed.
But what about the areas where Lari and Thabasum's help cannot reach? Residents in flood-ravaged areas of Pakistan have appealed for assistance after back-to-back years of devastating monsoon rains plunged their lives into misery. With two major floods in the last 2 years, the urgency for aid is underscored by the escalating threat of climate change, with Pakistan standing as one of the countries most vulnerable to global warming.
We lost everything to the floods. Our homes, our crops, our livelihoods, everything. The grains that we had rationed are all washed away. Our livestock was killed. It's been almost 2 years and you can see the water is still there.
Pakistan's Sindh province has borne the economic brunt once again, sustaining 70% of the losses and damage caused by the floods. Access to essential services, including clean drinking water and health facilities, still remain a critical challenge for thousands. The worst affected regions, especially Sindh's remote areas, are still awaiting promised relief from the government and the international community. Back in Bangladesh, the Awami League, helmed by the country's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, listed protecting the country's environment in its manifesto during the election campaign. The fact is, Bangladesh will be put to test yet again this year during the monsoons. The question is, will there be enough climate action before the river swells again?
And that's all we have on our show this week. But before we leave, some good news for Indian movie lovers. 2 Indian films, namely 12 Fail and 2018 Everyone is a Hero, have been chosen for the long list of films in the Oscars for the title of Best Film. Will either of these 2 films bag the top honors when nominations are out on the 23rd of January? For the WION team, I'm Dasuni Athauda signing off. See you next week.